Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to day 3. Hopefully, you've had an incredible day so far. Little quick update. Our friend Aaron is not feeling well today, so we're going to try to get him on Tuesday instead. Try to shift some things around in the schedule. But we still have some amazing discussions in store for you, and all the regular documentaries we're planning on showing, and the Q&As and what have you. So with that, I will turn it over to my friend Josh here to describe what we will be doing in lieu of having Aaron on today.
So we're going to bring in Errol and Stephen Wybrow and Errol Kaya. They're based in Europe, in Austria, and we're just going to have a powerful talk about truth, the one source, the one consciousness, Christ consciousness, law of one, Gnosticism, and action in the world, and how we are changing this reality from the inside out. So they're here, they're with us. I also want to echo, I just really look forward to that conversation with Aaron, and we understand that Alec, you were talking with him, and there's a pretty good chance that he's going to be ready to go for Tuesday. Cool. All right, so let's bring in Stephen Wybrow and Errol Kaya. Welcome, my brothers.
Hello, Josh, and hello, Alec. Thanks for having us.
So this is last minute. I just literally telegrammed you guys 20 minutes ago saying, could you pop on, because to me, you're brothers. To Alec, you're new brothers. But tell us a little bit about your background, what you're doing. All right. So Alec, do you want to take it from the top then and explain exactly what's going on right now?
Yeah. So a couple things. First off, we are having tech difficulties. Our stream coming from StreamYard, for those watching, was not integrating properly with YouTube, which is what we were embedding into our the event page. And then number 2, obviously, Errol and Stephen are not Aaron Abke. So Aaron is not feeling well right now. And because Aaron's not feeling well, we're going to try to push his back to Tuesday. Hopefully he's feeling better by then. Send some prayers his way, please. And for now, we're going to have on Errol and Stephen. And Josh, I'll let you take it away from here.
All right. Those of you that were tuning in for the reunion summit earlier this year are familiar with Errol and Stephen. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And they're based in Austria, and we were trying to get them into the event, and just at the last minute they were available on this last minute scheduling change. So thank you, gentlemen, for being available to drop in. So what we're going to talk about today is going to be actually pretty interesting. I think it's going to involve consciousness and paradigms, and really duality and unity, and the intersection of this sacred unity where we can explore and perceive ourselves to be consciousness, to be one with everything. But down here in the physical, duality is happening, and we are called to be a part, to take a stand, and to be an individual, and to individuate, and to say no, I would suggest, while creating the new. So Alec, you and I have a sort of a very similar paradigm in that both are involved, saying no with one hand and kind of creating the new with the other, so that the energy can flow. So it's not just completely oppositional, but it's got that creator force. So I don't even know where this conversation is gonna go. But Alec, do you have any thoughts kind of before we jump in and learn about Errol and Stephen and the amazing work that they're doing, both behind the scenes in the spiritual or shamanic level, and also putting action and creating change in our world?
Yeah. So drawing back to the law of one here. So for those that aren't familiar with the law of one, I find this very interesting and applicable, and kind of applicable to what's going on with COVID, and really how Health Freedom for Humanity, we try to approach this whole situation in the world. So for those who aren't familiar, the law of one was a channeled material, and all discussions aside on whether channeled material is real or not, whether you believe it's real or not, the information provided in the text is incredible, regardless of its validity, right? So that's what we want to focus on when it comes to something like that. What is actually being said and provided, and it's all turning people back to themselves and turning people inward to see that we are all inherently and inextricably linked and connected to one another, and that there is an illusion of separation, we undergo a process called the veil of forgetting, and that's forgetting that we are inherently connected, that we are inextricably linked, that we are all one being. I guess you could say modulating in a number of unique ways, infinite number of unique ways. And we undergo that forgetting process according to the law of one, so that consciousness at the highest level can expand, and we can make the authentic choice, right? The authentic choice to either polarize to the positive path, which is a path of service to other, or polarize to the negative path, which is a path of service to self, right? And in both paths, you are still serving the creator. I know that sounds weird, but this, when I first read the law of one, this made sense to me of how evil could possibly fit into a paradigm of an all-loving, supreme God that is created all of creation and is connected to everything. And how this works is a path of service to self looks like someone who is viewing themselves as separate of their reality, so they are willing to, kill, maim, torture, do whatever they can to other people for their own selfish gain. In that process, they are still serving the one creator. Because they are serving themselves, which is an aspect of the one creator, they are doing it, though, at the expense of other aspects of the creator. It is still serving the one, but doing it in such a way that is extremely selfish, self-oriented, and there's a lot of karmic debt that is accumulated there as well. Versus the path of service to other, which looks like, wow, I don't actually perceive any of these other, like a fully embodied service to other would come back home to that understanding despite undergoing the veil of forgetting, and realize that all things in creation, everything is a function of the one infinite creator, and that there is no separation, and I would never infringe or impose upon or cause harm to other, because there is no other. It's actually me harming myself in that process. So those are the two paths.
I just want to jump in and let people refresh the page. Is that what I'm being asked to? Yeah, a lot of people have had to refresh. I don't know if you're going to get this message if you're needing to refresh anyways. Maybe on the chat you could let them know. So thank you for that, Alec. Before we kind of jump into this, and we do have up to about just over an hour from now on this conversation. I am not there yet with regards to, concluding that like evil in itself serves the one. For me, that's a proposition, and it's a really interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think depending where I'm at in my consciousness, I can get there sometimes, but to hold that as a paradigm, and that in all cases evil serves the good, I think it might be conditional. It might be that depending on our response, it does.
Yeah, well, and so
if we're willing to go all the way.
Yeah, the interesting point that I wanted to bring that up, though, like relating it back to like what we try to emulate with Health Freedom for Humanity as an example when it comes to everything going on with COVID, is that so in the law of one, they ask the being that is being channeled Ra, like roughly what percentages you would need to be service to self in order to advance negatively. So advance what we would perceive as evil on the evil path, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Spiritually. And that would require you to be 95% service to self. So you are very, very self-interested. You are willing to cause massive amounts of harm to other people, really looking at them as expendable, right? For your own selfish gain. I think of a lot of the people at the tippy top that I personally perceive to be doing what they're doing with regards to what's going on with COVID, right? But what's interesting is that in order to advance spiritually on the positive path, Ra lays out 51% service to other, 49% service to self. That's all it requires. You don't need to be so oriented towards service to other that you are becoming a martyr and you're allowing people to walk all over you. You're giving up all of your things. You're just all love and light all the time, letting people trample over you, impose their will upon you, right? It's a balance of 51% service to other, 49% service to self, which goes back to exactly what you were talking about at the very beginning of this conversation, Josh. It's like we are putting a firm barrier of no, you will not impose your will upon me or others, right? Not allowing others to just like not becoming that martyr, just so immersed in love that you're willing to let yourself be harmed, right?
Yeah.
You're setting up that barrier, like, no, you will not infringe upon me, but it's also because I am in service to others over here who I'm not allowing you to impose on them either, and that's why I'm standing up and speaking out for the love in my heart of the Creator, not allowing any aspect of the Creator to impose its will on the rest of the co-creators.
And I would say that's where a lot of power and authority comes from, in that service to others orientation, without giving yourself away. Just to pause here in this conversation, for those just tuning in, we had some technical difficulties on the stream. And secondly, Aaron Abke, we're going to try to get him for Tuesday. He's feeling under the weather right now and ill. So send some good thoughts and prayers there. And I really hope that we get Aaron on for Tuesday, because that's a conversation that I've been looking for a long time. So, but in the meantime, last minute addition to the schedule here is Errol Kaya and Stephen Wybrow. They're based in Austria. We're going to get into their perspective now and their actions and what they're doing and how they're transforming things there and leading from behind the scenes and stepping out in front, being visible at times too. But that process of gnosis, of a natural law, of taking a stand, basically their starting point is the inner work, is the shamanic work, is that power and that perspective that we want to get into now. So Errol Kaya and Stephen Wybrow, again, welcome to the event 2021.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Josh.
So tell us, let's dive into, tell us about yourselves now, maybe in a couple minutes, how you got to this point and what you're, involved with.
So yeah, I would jump right in. So we've been involved a lot with the resistance movement here. So for one whole year, we were part of organizing a freedom festival on the main square in Linz, like right in the heart and the center of the city called Linz in Austria. And we did that for a whole year. I was on the stage, for example, every week and exposing the agenda of what goes on with behind the scenes with COVID. So I was not focusing on the facts of the situation like many experts would do, but I would be talking about the mafia structure in the background and about liability that is going to be the downfall of the dark occult priest class that is running this entire COVID operation and has been running every single collective terrorist event throughout history of humanity and throughout our history since we've been on the planet. So this is what gained the attention of this network that is running the operation here on planet Earth, which is about colonizing the Earth and enslaving every single human being on this planet under what they call UN Agenda 2030. Now we need to identify who these people are, and it is a satanic network that is far greater and bigger than people can imagine. And after 1 year of speaking publicly on the main square in Linz, it was sort of like there was a shift that happened in May this year, where we basically went from the foreground and being public outside for the people to see us. And from the foreground, we went to the background, and we've been dealing with this network that is running Austria and running the whole international system, an international network of Satanism. And we have had a major confrontation with them just this last month, which was very successful, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about it.
So we ended up in a place called, and that's actually like a month ago, I decided to join Errol in Saint Corona. This is the place where we went to.
Mm-hmm.
And what did we do there? What was the plan there?
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll try and cut it short. First of all, we were magnetically drawn there because of what we do, because inevitably this force has to face us as we have to face them. So we reached the point where I call point zero where the two polarities come together and meet, good and evil, negative, positive, whatever you want to call it. And then the problem is resolved from there. So what happened was, I do shamanic practices, and I work with a medicine called ayahuasca. So what we did there was we built a Mongolian yurt in the garden. Where we were in St. Corona was a church built on a specific mound, which holds a specific kind of energy which comes from the earth organically, okay? It's highly charged. And so what they did was build a church on it to hijack their energies coming from the land. And what nobody really doesn't know about this place is in the cellars of the church, deep down inside, they do satanic sacrificial rituals, blood rituals. And they've got all their underground networks which connect to that point. They run through entire Austria, and they interconnect and link with other underground networks which run across Europe. And they were basically doing satanic rituals to control the energetics of the land, to cast a spell upon humanity to keep them in check, basically to keep them asleep.
You said this was in Austria?
Austria, St. Corona. St. Corona, yeah. And we built a yurt there, okay, and we started doing shamanic ceremonies there. So I believe did 3 or 4 of them?
In total, 4.
I think 4 of them in total. So I did one to start off with. Steve wasn't there. There were some other people there. And the next day, what happened was the guy who lives in the house, who was hosting us, he put on a priest outfit. So he was revealing to us. Okay. And then the Cardinal of Austria showed up, and he had a conversation with him, but he didn't want us to speak to the Cardinal. And the reason why the Cardinal showed up was because we changed the energetic properties of the land there through what we did with the ceremony. And obviously the satanic priest class, they started panicking. So they sent in their Cardinal. The Cardinal came to measure how much we distorted their frequency.
For people to look up, this is Cardinal Schönborn, which is the main representative of the Vatican here in Austria.
Schönborn.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And these
This
people,
is a really like tough thing, right? Because it's like, how do I put this? It is so hard to break past the cognitive dissonance that level of evil exists, like satanic blood ritual, like even with me perceiving that to be a true thing that actually happens. And even like when we look back at the past, there's so many examples in history of just unbelievably wicked atrocities, and that's that we know of, right? And that's that we know of through history that has been manipulated over the course of like hundreds of years, right?
Yeah.
But even with knowing that, it's crazy because my mind immediately jumps to when you are sharing, like, there's no way, like immediately jumps to there's no way. But it really is that there's that level of wickedness, especially when we come back to the understanding that this at the highest level, everything that's going on in reality right now really is a spiritual battle, so to speak. It is a spiritual battle.
yeah, and I can explain to you why that is the case, Alec, as well. Because
I just want to quickly jump in there and say and witness and just agree on that. You know, the level of cognitive dissonance, and who was it? J. Edgar Hoover said, the people are handicapped by the reality and the fact that the conspiracy is so big that it boggles the mind. They could never admit to themselves that's the reality. And so I just wanted to address that. And the second thing is, upon that level of satanic evil, we know that their modus operandi is demoralization. So, and revealing, like you say, is part of it, right? He revealed himself, right? And so the idea is that they want our tacit acceptance. They will eventually reveal. And now, you know, it's above, who was it that a talk yesterday, I think, they're above the surface. they're revealed now worldwide. There's mass awakening, right? And so that's the sense of urgency from their part, is that they're in the revealing mode. And H.G. Wells talked about the open conspiracy in 1928. So it's the ball is totally in our court, isn't it, guys? In terms of, are we going to tacitly agree? Tacit acceptance is a thing in natural law, in commercial law, and universal law, right? If you reveal and you're accepted, then that's the reality. Are we going to accept that, or what are we going to do with that? Alec, did you have a quick thought before we
real
jump
quick, Errol and Steven, from your perspective, and like, I guess I'll give some context. From my understanding, the reason they reveal is because they know that they are spiritually required to, in order to relieve some element of karmic debt, because they have to let us know what they're doing, and then we have to give, just like you said, that tacit acceptance. It's still like us consenting to what they're doing by them revealing. Just like, as an example, when Bill Gates plainly says, if we do vaccination right, we will reduce the population by X percentage, and then the excuse is like, oh, he didn't literally mean that. What he meant was that the more vaccinated countries have less kids. I'm like, okay, where's the evidence for that? It's very clear that he is saying what he means in a manner to reveal, hey, this is the agenda that I am a part of. This is what I'm doing. I'm revealing to you so that you know you have the full awareness, and you have to, or you conditionally, or not conditionally, you actually come through your own processes to accept onto that.
Exactly.
Yes, the reasons they do it for is, first of all, they know they have to reveal by natural order, but they don't really seem to have a problem with breaking the rules and laws of natural order anyway, so they break as much as they can. However, the main reason for them why they reveal is they like to mock us with it by showing it to us. We're showing you, but you can't see it, you know? Can you see it?
They get power from it. They increase their power by it, right?
They increase their power by it. And another reason is because they know they have no other choice in the end. They have to reveal. You know, so it's like, okay, this guy can see, so let me show him my fangs, and see if I can intimidate him. Exactly. Then that's the next level.
Like the movie They Live. I've got one that can see.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Also in the movie with Tom Cruise, Eyes Wide Shut. So he joins, and guys, I just want to point this out, that this is the highest level of spirituality, is to speak about evil. Because there would be this new ageism that could also come in, the cognitive dissonance, as you say, Josh, of like, oh, why are they talking about evil and Satanism? Well, if you want to deal with the problems in this world, you know, you have to know the enemy. You know, that's the art of war. When you know the enemy, then you know more about yourself, and then you can give the evil inside of you the chop, and then you can really deal with them.
Okay, what about this though? My supposition on that is that yes, and one needs to keep going and be the creator, be the pulsar upon the environment, rather to be pulsed upon by another's reality. So create what we want, which is what the event is all about. But if you stay in the level of just awareness and not transforming with that inner work of becoming an embodiment of creator and creating what we want, co-creating in community, then you're still trapped. You have to go kind of all the way into that, maybe through that intense oneness experience where, Stephen, you and I have talked many times. It's like, it internalizes at times, right? We feel the intensity of that duality experience. We feel that same like satanic and like, how did that get in me? You know, like how is that anti-life force in me? But because of the nature of this oneness, this duality in oneness, we have to do that inner work as part of the willingness to look at how dark it is, both externally and internally. So
it's a force, and you have to merge with that force fully and learn how to use the force, or should I say, learn how to surrender to the force, so that the force can use you the way it's supposed to use you to do its will. Okay.
And so in the case with me and Errol, for example, I want to point out, and I keep making this example because yes, we're ready for the new and we're building the new simultaneously. However, me and Errol are sort of like the people who look at the foundation of a construct, okay? and you want to build on a strong foundation. And the one thing that we've not had access to for a long time is certain types of knowledge, and that is the knowledge of the foundation. It's the building blocks of knowledge that is contained within natural law principles. That's why we talk about principles, because you cannot discuss about principles. The law of cause and effect is what it is. The law of polarity is what it is. That's true Hermeticism, and having access to this knowledge, the building blocks of knowledge, now you can start to build a new world. But if you, that's why me and Errol, we look at the foundation and we suss out where are the moldy bits. Where is the black mold that needs to get removed in order to have a proper foundation to build upon? And this
Before we go further,
we
thank you
focus
for
on.
that. And I want to get into those principles. You said the principles and what you talk about as the natural law and truth. Before we get into that, jumping back to you, Alec, at this point in the conversation with Steve and Errol, how does it resonate with your perspective and your understanding of both Christ consciousness and the law of one, and how you see this duality unity interplay?
Oh man. I think it kind of relates back to what I shared earlier. Like, we, at the highest level, the deeper, like darker, you could say negatively polarized spiritual forces that exist in this reality are there to serve as a tool for us. And what I mean by that is we have to be able to, just like you said, Stephen, and I think it's such an important point, is like we have to be fully aware of this. You hit New Ageism on the head, because that's exactly what I perceive it to be. It's this like denying and like not willing to look at the darkness, and it's like all love and light, 3D to 5D. I'm going to use my crystals and I'll be okay. And not hating on crystals, I'm wearing some right now, right? But the reality is that we have to be willing to look at the darker elements in reality for ourselves and for the collective, be made fully aware of them, so that we have the full spectrum in front of us. We see all of it, right? We see the deep unity and love over here, and then we see like the dark separation and evil and wickedness over here, so that our soul can make an actual authentic choice for how we want to lead our lives and how we want to impact the world. We have to know all of it. We have to be made aware of all of it. And if we didn't have those elements of darkness, I think back to like my childhood trauma that I went through. I think back to, I think to what we're going through right now. What we're going through right now is extremely dark, and it's really challenging. It's really chaotic and tumultuous. There's more division, disease, disharmony than ever. But what is birthing out of that is things like what we're putting on right now. The event is these deeper connections. I would have never connected with Josh. I would have never connected with you two. Some of you who are listening and watching this would have never connected with the people you're connecting with. You wouldn't be seeking in this direction had you not experienced and been made fully aware of the darker elements that exist in this reality right now. So we have to have that piece of it in order to transmute it. Something that, so Tara, one of the hosts that's putting on the event with us, she took us through this process of getting to our deepest why. Like, why are we doing this event for each of us individually hosts, right? And all the people behind the scenes. My surface level why was to help people. And then like the deeper we got in this was the understanding that, and of course I was bawling my eyes out at this point, my deepest why is because I have been through darkness. I have been through a lot of shit in my childhood, and it's all relative. I know people watching this have been through some shit too. But because I have been through that shit and healed it and been willing to face those darker elements of what happened to me and things that I've done, right? I have transmuted that into the light to serve humanity in a positive fashion. So it's all transmuting darkness and turning it into the light, shining a light in those darker places to serve other people. And that's really like the law of one, the Kabbalion, all of these things, the Edgar Casey channelings, all of them come back to that main thing, is that we have to have the full spectrum of all of it so that we can transmute darkness, make the authentic choice to, right? For all of us, like what do you want to call us? Light workers, just good people, good men and women, transmute that darkness and turn it turn it into the light to serve others. We have to have that darker element.
You know, I just want to quickly go into that and say, one time, I mean, I'll share two quick experiences and then we'll go back to Steve and Errol. My first ayahuasca journey was in 2008 or 9, and I experienced for about 6 hours, I was laughing at the hilarity of the contrast between being both the unity, and it felt like it was like above the earth or whatever. It felt like just one. I was kind of up here. I was one with everything, and it felt like utopian bliss. And at the same time, I felt myself as a man, as a separate individual, appearing to be separate, taking everything so seriously. Like it's all so much drama, right? And then the contrast between those two was just a source of humor for me as I experienced myself as the pillar between all. And the second thing is, about 2 years ago, I was in the forest and I had some plant medicine in a sacred way, which I do from time to time and really feel called to do more of in nature, intentionally and with prayer. And I said, Christ, show me your true essence. Show me the true energy and essence that is the source of the way and the embodiment of the way, and that incarnated in Yeshua, in Jesus at the start of this age. And so what happened was 5 minutes later, I was walking on the path, and then basically after hugging a tree and getting all open and stuff like that, I started walking on a path down in the middle of the forest by myself, and I came across this owl literally on the side of the path, about 5 feet from the side of the path. And this owl was on the ground. It wasn't up in a tree. And this was just after actually seeing a raven, a very large raven that was barking. It was like so loud and agitated. And there's this owl on the side of the path. And so I came across this owl, and it's literally about 8 feet away. And I look at the owl, and it's looking right into my eyes, right through me. And I could tell it's making this sound. It's very scared. It's in a state of fear. But at the same time, there was a presence. And so at that moment, I realized the answer to my prayer and intention, the choice. I could have chosen to resonate with the fear of that moment and just completely backed away and saw myself as an intrusion, or I could have honored the presence of that being and honored my presence and just which is what I chose to do. And I just stood there, I grounded, I took a breath, I continued looking in the eyes of this magnificent owl, and I just blessed it. And I said, thank you so much for being here right now. And this is the first time I really shared about this openly, this experience. As I'm sharing about it, I'm just feeling the energy and the spirit. And I just chose to bless it and all of its kin around the world. And that to me was the answer to my prayer. Show me the spirit of Yeshua. Show me the spirit of the Christ. Because it's that choice. We have we have the path of fear or the path of presence and honoring life and blessing and transforming that energy, bending the energy within. You know, maybe some people out there have seen the series, The Last Airbender. You know, it's a kid's series and there's all these high level truths embedded into it. If you have kids, check out The Last Airbender, the original one from 2005. But in the last episode, there's some wisdom that's just dropped, and it's like the original ones following the way learned first to bend the energy within, and then it all can shift. So just wanted to share that.
Powerful.
Yeah,
Really powerful.
similar experience with a black jaguar in Peru in the jungle as well.
Wow. Tell us about that.
Well, actually, real quick, Errol and Steven, before you do that, the audience is going nuts wanting to ask more about the satanic ritual.
I know that is of the essence.
Yeah.
So we can talk about all the, and thank you for sharing that story. It's always important because you merge with that animal spirit, and we talk a lot about the eagle medicine, and what we experienced in Austria is the eagle medicine was brought to us, wasn't it? And just to give people a little bit of, so you can watch all of it on my channel with my name here, Steve Wybrow. We're on YouTube.
That's the best thing to do.
And we can't be censored on YouTube, by the way, due to the fact of the natural principles that the universe is embedded with and the multiverse, that the higher causes supersede the lower causes. We're not being censored on YouTube anymore. And this has just been shown even 3 days ago with an interview with Mark Devlin. Inside 2 hours, the interview was censored on his channel, and it still stands on our channel. It's pretty amazing. So there's actual magic going on here right now, which we've been observing, and it's really interesting. So coming back to the point, what led us up to get into a mystical place called Saint Corona during the Corona crisis, as you will pick up, is that we've been following what we call a source-guided approach to dealing with the problem that we face. Because I knew where this was going, okay? Like after 12 years of intense, deep research into this hidden world of the occult and what they've been doing to the world, and we were living in a Western paradigm, okay, where everything was always cared for, okay? We had homelessness and all that, but never wars. And so it was no accident, and I wasn't shocked when the COVID hit the fan, okay, because they were coming for all of us. So what got the attention of this dark occult priest class is when I, for example, took the action in October 2020 of serving a notice of liability to the Austrian president, like taking heart and just saying, they can't touch me, okay? I am the originator and the sovereign being of my reality. I choose to do this because it is all about responsibility. And this is what got the attention and led us to a path of a source-guided approach into how to actually, on the root level, heal this situation that we're facing here in Austria. And that brought us to Saint Corona. So I would like Errol to pick up on that.
Where did I leave it? Was there the cardinal?
Yeah,
There's the cardinal.
Chambon. He showed up the next day after the ceremony, and our host, who was hosting the house, connected to the church there, he was wearing his priest outfit as well, revealing. So obviously we knew anyway, okay, who he was. But that's when he really started revealing after the ceremony. He's the high priest in Austria, by the way, of Satanism. Mm-hmm. And this is an average guy who owns a Lotus garage in a small town called Kirchberg. Glocknitz, sorry, in Austria. And he's just an average guy. And he's not the Pope in the Vatican, or he's not part of the royal family, you know, and he's just an average guy. But obviously he's connected to all of them, the whole network, okay? But he's running the show here, and nobody would even know.
The real players are in the background, and you don't know their names.
Exactly.
Well, we know the names now.
Well, coming back to what happened in Corona, a week later, decided to do 2 more ceremonies, and called Steve as well so that he can join us. So he showed up, and we did another ceremony using ayahuasca, but this time we added some datura to it. Datura, I don't know whether you guys are familiar with.
No, what's that?
They call it the devil's trumpet. It's got nothing to do with the devil. It's a plant medicine. Datura. This medicine breaks any curse and spell, any. And it's probably the only plant that does that. Well, I combined it with the ayahuasca to make the medicine more powerful, and with my intention, as I was cooking the medicine, the pipe works in the house started banging and blowing up and everything. Because my intention was simple, okay? Dear medicine, I command, in the name of the high commander of the one and only high source that I am, I command all evil to leave this house and this place.
And this planet.
And this planet. And I want the truth and nothing but the truth, no matter what it looks like. That was my intention. But that was our intention, basically. And the pipe works just started going crazy in the house to the point we had to stop the fire and everything. And the preparing the medicine process kind of got delayed. So we started the ceremony a little bit later, delayed, which was okay. It was the way it was supposed to be. So we did this ceremony, and the next day, our high priest friend in the house, he was kind of acting really strange by now, and we stayed away from the house. So basically what we did was we went up to the top of the mountain, and we did cold water bathing again in the snow. We broke the ice and went in the lake on top of the mountain.
This was our daily routine, being there every day in the ice cold water, and the breathing techniques by Wim Hof. Very powerful medicine also.
On top of the mountain in the snow, we used to do this every day, and just break the ice, go into the cold water and give high commands for evil to flee this land.
You have to leave!
And that's what we did that day as well. Then we came down and we did another ceremony, but this ceremony took all of them by surprise. There was 3 of us in the ceremony, me, Steve, and another brother of ours. He's not here right now. And this ceremony was different to all the others. We just drank the medicine, and not one single instrument was played. Not one single ikaro or song was sang. Not one single song from the playlist. Nothing was done in pure silence. And it was about 5 hours, I think. And the medicine began to reveal the whole network to us. And we saw that they've been around us all along. All the people around us who were claiming to help us be our friends, part of that community.
Well, how was it that you stayed in the home of the cardinal?
It wasn't the home of the cardinal.
Sorry.
The home of the high priest.
The high priest. How was it? How did that come about?
Well, we were magnetically drawn. This is what happens.
The law of synchronicity. You just you take one step and another step and another step, and it eventually leads you to where you want to go, because the intention had been set long time ago. We want freedom. So,
but
this is how
our intention from the beginning was. We've been calling these people out all along, the high-level players of the network. You know, he's been on stage calling them out. Okay, reading them their rights. And I said to him, you know, Steve, at one point they're gonna end up pulling us in anyway. So are you prepared for this? And he was like, yeah, let's do this.
Whatever.
I was like, okay, we're doing this. Our intention was there. We knew it anyway. But the way these people are going to pull you in is not like, hi, we're so-and-so. Nice to meet you. Let's have a chat, shall we?
Or like suits and mafia and stuff like this. You know, this is all Truman Show.
All this Hollywood bullshit.
But when you look closely, you see, and when you observe, and for example, there was a Swiss banker who came out in 2008, it was. And it's sort of like an interview that I can remember. And what he said was that Satanists are peculiar people. And you would not be able to see if someone was a Satanist. They're your everyday teachers. They're lawyers, they're politicians, they're your kindergartners, and you would not know them. It's like, how I can describe it is, you've got a foreground, okay, where you've got this pyramid with the Vatican and the Queen of England and all that, but this is all a show. While in the background, there's people in places like St. Corona who no one has their radar.
Isn't that the point, though, right? Like, taking a step back from this is like, it would be naive to think that they are going to be so obvious about, like, obviously they reveal, right? Like they reveal to us what they're doing, but that they're going to be like walking around in like black suits or with like black trench coats with like a top hat all the time and like be so unbelievably obviously evil. And it's the same way that they carry out their agenda. Obviously, again, there's elements of revealing what they are doing, but it's always framed under the guise of like, oh, we are doing this for your own good. It's just like they never fully admit, like, yeah, we're going to kill all of you. And like evil is subversive. Evil is manipulative. Evil, it tries to trick you into thinking that in this case, you're just an average normal person. Or on the larger scale, that this is what's best for everyone. It's never going to be so blatantly obvious, you know?
because the way they reveal to you is by testing your morals to see how strong your moral code is. And if it's not strong enough, they want to see if you can yield into some of their stuff that they offer you. And then when you consent, then they pull you in a little bit more. Then they give you a bit more. And then if you take that bait as well, they slowly pull you in.
And they really work on your, how shall I say, on your weak points. Okay, so we all have shadows to integrate, and you're always along on your path. So what happened was that this network was surrounding us the whole time, and it really is testing you, and it's really intense also, up to the point where me and Errol lost connection. They brought us to the point, you see, because the power of people like me and Errol coming together, who don't just want their way, but we want the truth, no matter how it looks like, because we know the only path to freedom is the truth, and my perception is independent of it. It is absolute. I cannot change it. No one can change it. And it even brought us to the point where they separated me and Errol.
I wanted to ask you about that because you and I were in touch at that time, and that was after Reunion Summit. What portion of that do you attribute to inner processes or dealing with when we're facing the demon, right? They say, beware when you're facing a dragon that you don't become one. And we have all, we're all facing the darkness, and we're doing so with courage and alignment with the truth. But what portion of that, of you guys separating and then coming back recently so you can do more powerful shit together, do you attribute to either darkness getting in you or something within you that you had to shift? And like what's the inner component of that?
It's multiple layers. One of them is that the way the occultic force, the dark side of the force works, it frames a story for you. So in my case, they were framing things for my consciousness to pick up and make me see Errol as someone who works for MI5, MI6, because I already had encountered agents of the Matrix, like people that work for Mossad. It has now turned out people that I used to work with, working for the United Nations, and not just being a whistleblower, but they are actually engaged in the agenda and psychologically controlling you. I've had this experience. Yep. So this is the way they wanted to make me see Errol. But the way I gave permission for that germ to germinate inside of me, because of habits that I was still clinging on to, namely, when you do ayahuasca work, when you work with ayahuasca, she shows you, and you start to pick up that this sort of a habit is not in resonance with the truth, and it works on you, and you when you choose to ignore it for too long, she'll give you a smack. So in my case, for example, I had to get rid of the habit of smoking. I had to get rid of alcohol. I've not been drinking for 4 months now, for example. I had to be going into the ice cold water to really, and I had to do it every single day, because you see, the source doesn't just work through you. It says you need to show discipline. You need to show me that you really want it, because otherwise, bad luck. These are the principles of the universe. You know it, so stop playing with yourself. So the way this could germinate inside of me was me refusing to look into the mirror and say, oh, I'm just going to focus on this now, and I'll drop all of the bad habits. That's how you do it.
I just want to say the way this network operates is they know how to look into possible future timelines, and they know that there's a primary one, and they can look ahead of that and see where it's going. They know where it's going. They know who they are going to encounter in their paths, who are going to stand in their way in the future to stop their agenda. So basically what I'm saying is they've had a tab on us most of our lives, probably from the very beginning. I only met Steve in 2020, when I came to Austria. However, they already had him under the radar for probably most of his life. And they had me under the radar as well for most of my life. Many attempts on my life, putting me under the bus on a motorcycle, trying to kill me with a tree, trying to poison my food, everything. implants that I got rid of and all this stuff. And Steve was looking into 5G, right? And he wrecked their main event, which they had. And since then, they assigned many handlers to him. He had many handlers. He had, how many did you have in one go?
Crazy.
Was it 3, 4, or 5?
Off the top of my head, it's 6.
So what I'm getting to is they know the future path, okay? So they study us. They know us. They know what we like. They know how we tick. They know how we think. They know what we would possibly do and how we would do it and all of these things. These guys are master psychologists. So they know how to play the psychological game. So when me and Steve got together, they really didn't like that. That's when they had to come in. And that's when they came in with all these so-called nice people claiming that they want to build a community. And, you know, this is what we need now, community. And we're like, okay, we went along with it. And it was like you get pulled into it. And slowly they were putting us out of taking action against what's going on and doing more of just getting together and just having fun and partying, just entertainment. They were like spinning a circus of entertainment around us to distract us from our path. And at the same time, they were trying to frame, because Steve is intelligent, okay, he sees things for what it is, and he takes action upon what he sees. He fixes the problems. They were trying to frame him as psychotic, okay? And that was kind of working on me in a way, okay? Because that was due to my lack of moral code, as something, a slight dent in my moral code, which I had to work on and fix as well. And finally, when we saw it for what it was like, bastards, this won't happen again, brother, you know? And we had to get together. We were magnetically drawn back together to do the Corona job together, because that's how it was supposed to be. And basically what we did in Corona was we dropped what I would say, we nuked the hell out of them there. It was like a nuclear bomb drop for the Satanists, because what is medicine for us is poison for them. Okay? And it turns out that that house connected to the church, they were using it to procure children to be sacrificed. Underneath that, the medicine is showing me all of this. Okay? And I'm sitting in ceremony and I'm seeing all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, it is what it is. So we ended up actually pulling a mother and her young daughter out of there.
We've actually been living for 2 weeks. Our life has completely changed. We're in a location of someone we didn't know even before. So our reality has completely changed, because when you do an action like we did there, which Errol explained, it's basically like nuking them. So you've got a picture in your mind what a nuke looks like, okay? This is what ayahuasca actually is. There's a big, tight control and a cap on medicine, plant medicine, because through this medicine applied in a mind and a heart that knows how the nature of reality works is what you can do with this medicine. This is what we did in St. Corona, is you can switch timelines.
Right. But it's not for everyone at all times. I just want to say that, because there's people who have gone into it thinking, oh, they're going to have this amazing experience, but there's not a ripeness or readiness, and they're blown apart. Right?
No. Without trying to get too complex, okay?
Yeah.
There's a problem with talking about this, because when we talk about this with conviction and confidence, people accuse us with self-righteousness and narcissism. Well, they can kiss my ass. I'm going to say it anyway. Excuse me. Okay? There are individuals on this planet, and there are individuals. Okay? There are people, there are players, and there are actors, and there are background people. Okay? There are those who specifically came here knowing exactly what the hell they're doing, knowing their mission, and staying in line with their mission all throughout their lives, no matter what crap is thrown at them. Okay? And they know that these people will eventually walk the path of the medicine. So what the network has done is, okay, they've spun their web all around the places and the lands and the areas where these individuals will pass through to do their work, to drop the final bomb. So basically what I'm saying is they've hijacked shamanism and medicine. You know, there's only 2% in the world today who are practicing medicine authentically.
Of all the shamans, 2%.
Of all the shamans in the world. All the rest are charlatans. They've all been corrupted. They've all been hijacked and corrupted by the network. It's worldwide. They control the medicine. You go to an ayahuasca ceremony. You go to an ayahuasca retreat to join an ayahuasca ceremony. Okay? You're dealing with a network. They're all charlatans. Okay? Yes, on one level, the medicine is to receive healings in the ceremony on a physical level, on a psychological level, or whatever. But the main purpose of the medicine is nobody knows what the main purpose of the medicine is. But what I can say is that the medicine is the Holy Grail. It's the Holy Grail. And what is the Holy Grail? It's the embodiment of creation. You have all the access codes, the building blocks of life within the Holy Grail, within that medicine. And depending on who you are and what your intention is with the medicine, the medicine will give you exactly what you need so that you can do your job.
If I may, real quick, I have like a unique share on this, maybe like another perspective. So for me, I've had many opportunities to do ayahuasca, and I've never felt called to do it. And from my perspective, it's like maybe there is some state that I will reach or some new sense of awareness that I will gain by using it. And of course, like I don't want to disregard the medicine. Most of my friends have done ayahuasca at some point, and like I know it is an incredibly powerful tool to go deeper into spiritual perception, go deeper into oneness, and also to purge elements of darkness within yourself, right? But for me, in a very, I guess you could say, traditional Chinese medicine, like Qigong perspective, is that like we have to be mindful of how much we are willing to use these medicines, because there's an essence about us that we have where we can reach a lot of those states by our own means, by the breath, by just setting intention, by deep meditation. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, and if you agree or disagree.
I would totally agree, because what I learned from Errol also, because all of this stuff was new to me, was that I'd also always refused to take ayahuasca up to the point when I met Errol. And the way this works is that you get a calling. And this is the beautiful, organic, natural way how the plant chooses you, and it makes you aware of it. Sort of like a thing like you had to. We've been together in previous lifetimes.
Got it.
Can we connect again? It's beautiful, sort of intimate relationship level that the plant starts to communicate with you. But absolutely, I was glad that I never touched it until I got to know Errol. And through the medicine now, it's just been incredible the last month, because you see, ayahuasca is like the glasses in They Live. It's a symbol for her.
Wow.
It's actually this what it is. If I could explain it with a metaphor, this is what ayahuasca is.
However, depending on who you are and what she wants to do with you, you know, if you're one of the ones who are prepared to see and do the job, then she will show you what you need to see to do the job.
Yeah, and sometimes people are, but they have to go through a period in the darkness first, or they have to go through healing. So they might have a healing experience first, or an insight, and then the deeper aspect of their, say, spiritual warrior mission unfolds at a later date.
And what I want to mention here, for example, is that I had 6 sessions with ayahuasca before Saint Corona, and I had no idea what ayahuasca was. I was still thinking like it's the purging and to get stuff out of your body and all that. I had no idea. Okay, so when it came to Saint Corona, this has really totally changed my perspective on what's happening just the last month. And for me specifically, what me and Errol did in that job in Saint Corona, you see, she works with you after the ceremony also. It's like the glasses in They Live. She is a perception. She is a reality, the medicine. Reality. You see, the way it works is because in this matrix technological mechanistic reality, this fake reality that we've been living in since birth, with the birth certificate, it's a bond. It's a bond with the church. Now, what ayahuasca does is she slays that bond, which is actually a signal connection as a hierarchy in your mind where you obey authority, basically. She gets rid of that bond and you bond with ayahuasca. So now you're moving from the artificial matrix reality to the natural reality. You bond with ayahuasca. And what she specifically instructed me to do together with Errol was to shift the timeline in Saint Corona. That's what we did there. You see,
let's talk about that.
That's what we decoded.
Okay, let's get back into that shifting of the timelines. And before we do, I want to ask you, Errol or Steve, what is you said primary future timeline, the way that you see it? What is the primary one? And let's talk about that shifting and some of the results that you've had doing your work. How is that manifested in, the physical?
Right.
If I can just quickly say, Austria, just the last month, has suddenly been in the attention worldwide. Mm-hmm. Out of nowhere, suddenly Austria is the first country with forced vaccinations. Being a country where no one talks about Austria, okay? Mozart lived there and something like that. No one talks about Austria. Suddenly, full public attention. And Gareth Ike gets in contact with me and he's like, what is going on in your country? This is crazy. Like in England, we talked with Errol's mum the other day. She said, they've reintroduced the masks. Well, the masks have never gone in Austria. We've been full-blown. We've had more lockdowns than any other country. We're the world champions of the testing and all that. It's been going crazy, and we're heading to forced vaccinations. It's because, this is what I always say, how do you know an awakening is taking place? Only because of a quickening of the agenda. That's how you know that a complete awakening is going on, because they're losing control, they're quickening the agenda, and the force that operates completely in the background the whole time and is so deceptive. You see, that's how they built the European Union without anyone knowing that's a fascist dictatorship. Mm-hmm. You see, this is not the way this force operates like they did in Austria. It's like one after the other and forced vaccination, going completely Nazi in a place which experienced Nazism. How is that going to work out? So this is tied to the story that we're sharing with you. That's why. Mm-hmm. Intrinsically linked in a connected universe where nothing is separate from each other.
We're in charge, not them.
And you've had people like the former president of Austria, right? You served him the notice of liability document, and things started changing in his reality. And we've noticed the same thing with Empower Movement in the past. You serve those documents and you do the invoking and connect with your source, things shift.
Absolutely. They just shift. And that's why the notice of liability is so powerful, because I only started to know the power of it on a deeper level by you sharing the Law for Mankind course.
I was just about to say that, like a shameless plug real quick. Day one, we featured modules 1 and 2, or parts of modules 1 and 2 as part of the event. I don't promote a lot of courses. Actually, I've never promoted any courses whatsoever except for something by Dr. Edith Ubuntu Chan and Law for Mankind. And it's because I've actually taken both of those courses and I found them to be transformational. And when it comes to what's going on with COVID, like I'm sure Errol and Stephen could also speak to this, not to make this a full-on like Law for Mankind promotion, but that material is so unbelievably important for people to understand how to actually embody and express freedom the way we are, the way the creator intended us to. That this material is so vitally important. I'll give it back to you guys.
It's the language of the new signal.
Yeah. It is. And it's the power of setting the law. Is realizing that law, because out on the screen level of reality, the Truman Show, it's, oh, we know all what law is, and you've got human rights by the UN Charter, all in the public. No, I'm going private and I'm setting the law how I see, and then the source decides how much in harmony it is with love and law and the true law. This is the power, and it was unique what this course taught, that actually you set the law. Powerful, powerful, powerful idea that changes the entire paradigm.
So the sovereignsway.com is where you can do Law for Mankind. And it's also on day one, which you have permanent access to if you're a premium or luminary pass holder. So yeah, go ahead, guys.
Where were you?
Well, I wanted to ask about the primary future timeline. Like something about those three words is like just light bulb.
Explain how we did it with the timeline.
What happened was, somewhere in the past, further down the line, these archons, they hijacked the natural timeline and misdiverted it. So what we do is we incarnate again into the past, back to that timeline where it's been intercepted, and we put it back to the old, basically. So what people are talking about now as the new coming age, the new coming dawn, the golden age, the new earth, the 5D, whatever, it's a new timeline, okay, which is a new signal, which is a frequency. It's a new reality. It's a new waveform. Okay. So what we do with this new signal is we begin to become carriers of this new signal. Okay. And it comes into this reality through us. So that's why they had to pull this corona scam off and say, people who carry the signal, okay, they're positive, and we need to vax them and we need to shut them off so they don't bring in the new signal, because it's the new signal which they fear. New signal is the new reality. Because in this new reality timeline, they don't exist. They're gone. But it appears that we have overridden their old signal with the new signal already. So we're past that point. It's too late for them. They're done. So what we're looking at now is, Steve talks about this actually in the form of their structure is built based on the electrical component.
Only the electrical. You see, only the upright pyramid, which you see in the hierarchical structured society.
Yeah, because there's the electrical and the magnetic, right?
Yeah.
With the new signal is the magnetics, which is coming in, okay, intercepting to form the Merkaba,
Like
which
this.
is, like that, which is acting like an antivirus system flush, So the virus has been, the real virus, which is the invaders, the archons, who have colonized this earth, they're being flushed out now. So what we're looking at now is the whole system turning in on itself. The whole system is going crazy, even here in Austria,
But not with any drama. You see, This is also what I want to point out. No food shortages, no this and that, no drama. No, we live on an abundant planet, and we are riding this wave now. That's why we're so grateful to be speaking to you right now, because this new signal is going to everyone. You see, this is the power of the one, the magnetic pyramid, which starts with the one. That's how it works. No public opinions. No, we need more people and we need to get the masses of the people on our side. No, this is all bullshit.
No experts.
It's
no
only
scientists.
the power of the one, and you getting a new signal and you're giving it further to the people, and we empower each other. That's how it works.
And the signal's within at your core, and it's all around us.
Yeah, 100th monkey
because-
effect.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. 100th monkey syndrome. Everybody picks it up.
Yeah.
They don't know where it's coming from, what it is. They just pick it up.
And then they call it Omicron on the news.
They call it a new mutation.
Everything is a cheap imitation, isn't it? Everything is perverted.
Inversion.
Yeah, everything is inverted. Well, I want to touch on this. Like, you guys aren't saying that, you know, you're special or whatever, but anybody can access this. That's the whole point of the event.
Yeah.
Like, we are the event. So share about that.
As long as you know exactly who and what you are, Josh.
Exactly. Yep. And it's all about the confidence, you see, the power of setting the law, how I see it. Then what does the matrix do all around you? Well, who do you think you are doing that? You know, you're a narcissist, you're self-righteous, and no, it's confidence, and we fucking need it like nothing else. What does the world need more? Confidence. It needs confidence. Strong men and strong women, and there cannot be any manipulation when that is so.
That's why they really did their best to demoralize society, okay, and make confidence, turn confidence into arrogance and narcissism, okay, and self-righteousness. And what was the other one? Confidence and oh fuck.
Well, like trusting the source, being humble to the source. Is that it?
No. Confidence and bloody hell, I got hacked.
It doesn't matter, but this is what it's about, and this is how the new signal operates. You see, you just bring it into reality, and people pick it up because we are antennas.
It came. Awareness, extreme heightened levels of awareness and intelligence as paranoia, schizophrenia, and all this stuff. They've demonized it in that way.
Inverted it in that way.
Yeah. It's just extreme intelligence. They always demonize it. You're not allowed to be intelligent. You're not allowed to be able to critically think.
Yeah.
And push the boundaries. Talk new paradigms.
Yeah.
Like, I went on Gareth Ike's show, for example, and he was just shocked. You know, poor Gareth, because he was asking me, public opinion says that it's 50-50 when it comes to forced vaccinations. I'm like, Gareth, it's a satanic network. We're right in the den here, and we're nuking them. Yeah, go for it. We need it. The time is now. Crazy ideas. Yes.
Yeah.
Put it into effect.
So we got
where we experience the power we have.
I wish we didn't have a hard stop here, you guys, that we could keep going, but we got 5 minutes left for this. Alec, I just want to jump back to you. What's on your heart as we kind of begin to wrap up this deep dive?
I say this a lot, but I want to like bang it into people's heads because it's so important, and it's a reframe. We are not fighting for freedom. Like, we're not fighting for to get our freedom back from something that has taken it. We are fighting the conditioning that says we have to fight for our freedom and take it back from something that has taken it. The freedom is already there. It is inherent to our being. And we need to encourage and empower people to understand that it is already there and to just be free. Be free men and women. That's all that it requires. If we could get everyone to understand that very point and to just embody freedom right now, whatever that looks like for you, as long as you're not imposing or infringing upon another, this would all be over. They only have the power that because we continue to consent to it. We continue to consent to all of these things. We continue to petition them, to ask for permission, to plead with mommy and daddy government. The only way this is going to change is when we understand that we had the power all along, individually and collectively. And where we gather, or where one of us goes in freedom is powerful, but when we gather in community of like-minded people, in that we are like-minded, that we understand that we will not impose and infringe upon each other, that we are for open and free expression, that we're standing in love, and that we perceive all as one, and that we are empowering people to be free right now, that is real power. That is the real power, and that is how we transform everything that's going on right now. It is not pleading with the government. It is standing as freedom now. That is the most important thing.
Well said. And there is, in that process, there is an accountability piece that we're asked to play, isn't there? We're asked, they who are causing this, who are the dark ones, and using their money system, creating money out of nothing and getting trillions of dollars to all levels of government to fulfill the agenda. They want us to basically just, you guys, I think I just got hacked. I was just about to drop something there. It's crazy how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works.
All right. So basically, I just want to wrap up with you guys. If I remember that, I'll come back. Errol, thank you for just demonstrating that that's okay to lose your train of thought when you're bringing forth things, and the energy is intense, as we all know.
Dude, JD, Joshua Lemons, like the amazing Native American elder, did that on day one. It happens. It happens to everyone. It happens to me on podcasts all the time.
Yeah, if I remember in the next couple of minutes, maybe I'll drop that. But we got a couple minutes left. Steve and Errol, wanted to ask you solutions. So as this system turns in on itself, right? Couple minutes. What, like literally 2 minutes. What solutions can you suggest for people? What are the next steps or breadcrumbs on this path of like really standing in your power and just being an agent of change as you guys are?
Hold your ground. Continue. Hold the frequency. Hold the charge. And remember that you're in charge because you carry the new charge of the new signal. It's an energetic charge. You're in charge. So relax.
And what I would like to share also is before I went to St. Corona, nuking a high priest of Satanism and his place, you know what I went through? Deep shadow work. I didn't see a single soul for 5 months. You know why? Because I didn't want to. And the way to know that you're on the path to freedom is when you feel like shit. And that's good, sir. Take the time out. Don't worry about the future. When you're still here breathing, you're on the path, and Source takes care of you when you show the discipline that you want out. Those who want out will out, and the time is now. It's as simple as it's a new signal, and you get it by showing your source, the highest source that you are an expression of, it's time now, and that's it. And you do it, and you are it, and you act it, and you live it, and then they run away.
Yeah, that's so beautifully put, Stephen. And I just remembered the thought I had was we are being invited, it appears, from multiple angles to express, to be and embody our true self. And in doing so, to fulfill, one of the roles is to fulfill the role as reflecting back to the agents of the dark what they are doing, reflecting back the principles of law, of true law, and natural law back to them, so that we are affirming that our law, God's law, natural law is the real, right? We're willing to choose to reflect back and to create the new. So I just want to honor you both, gentlemen. You're doing amazing work, and thank you so much for being part of the event. Alec, do you have any final thoughts here as we wrap up?
Thank you for being flexible and coming on like on a whim like this. So for everyone who has joined this kind of late and is wondering where Aaron is, I hope, and I think they did. Errol and Steven filled in and did absolutely incredible, especially with nothing prepared for them. Kind of just called them last minute and said, hey, you want to jump on for this? So thank you both for being willing to do that. I think this was incredible. I know the chat is going pretty nuts about your shares. So for those who are wanting to know where Aaron is, though, he is feeling sick right now. We're going to try to get him on Tuesday. But if not, we have so much great content ahead for the rest of the event. And as of last night, we passed 100,000 opt-ins for people viewing the event, which is incredible. It just shows that we are not alone, that there are so many people seeking in the direction of this. We threw this together kind of last minute, so the fact that we have 100,000 people really speaks volumes. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you here in a little bit with the next session.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.